What's up, guys?
Welcome to the Coldcast. Today I'm here with Francis Stroll.
Nathan Brantz,
it's going to be a great
founder
show.
of
So let's get started.
Who has been with the company for 8 years now.
Great to see you. Thanks for coming
Good to see you
today.
again. Thanks for stopping by.
I know it was a long drive. It was a big trip.
Comparatively to a lot of other people that work here, we do have the longest drive.
That was excruciating.
That was bad. That was
It's okay. We're going to use it.
rough. What's up, guys? We are here with the Coldcast, season 2, episode whatever. And we are going to recap a couple of shows that we've been to.
Just one. Are you going to do yours too?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what I was told. I don't have to. It'll hurt feelings if I don't.
Oh, no, that's fine.
We're going to recap at least one show and then also talk about our upcoming Hammer-In that we do every year. And
what are the dates for that, Evan? Will you throw our Hammer-In up on the screen? Can we plug that real quick? 1st and 2nd, Andy Davis Hammer-In 2023. We're going to do an open forge on day 1. Is that a Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Friday is open forge. So we're going to have presses everywhere, power hammers everywhere, forges everywhere. It's going to be just an awesome chaotic moment to come get your hands on equipment. The IBA is going to be there instructing, doing some on the fly demos, like right in the midst of things. So you can come and get your hands dirty on day 1. And then day 2, we're going to have the stage set up and we're going to have several instructors through to do demos all day long on Saturday. That's day 2. And those instructors consist of Steve King and the big friendly Hammerman group, Derek Melton, Andrew Larson, Mark and Dale Winburn, and the great Will Stelter, which is not even listed on our demonstrators list.
We wanted to not tell people about that.
Oh,
because it's Will. We don't want people to not like us.
Well, they might not come.
They might not come.
That's a good call. Good call.
They also probably won't be able to see him demonstrating anyway. He'll be behind the anvil.
According to
I'm working on that.
He's
some
trying to
risers.
he's trying to get some bleachers.
Gonna
Which
try.
would be sick.
Right, for Will to stand on?
Yes.
Anyway, so 2 shows. We had the Eric Hemker Hammer-In.
Sure.
In Detroit.
Outside of Detroit.
Outside of Detroit. And we went to the Blackthorn for the Catskill Maker Camp 2023, which was a wild event. So why don't you start by telling us about the Hemker Hammer-In and a little bit about what you guys did, who was there, etc.
Okay. So we actually got up there a little late. I had just gotten my brakes replaced, so we drove very slow the entire way up there. We got up there and Blacksmith Shop, Detroit, was I cannot recall his name. I think it's Jared. I cannot recall his name right now, but he was doing a demonstration. And then after that demonstration, we broke out for some food and fellowship, and then lit forges and had a lot of fun showing people. We took a 12-ton with the DPC. We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of people there who had never forged before. So
super cool.
Yeah, Bob was there. Nico, obviously Eric. The zoom in took me by surprise. So a lot of people who are kind of getting into blacksmithing, had not blacksmithed before. Jesse Hugh, I believe is how you say his last name. He brought 3 or 4 people who'd never forged before. So this was a lot different than Maker Camp, which Maker Camp was like.
I mean, there's a lot of people at Maker Camp that had never forged before.
Well, yeah, but they're there for their discipline, right? So if they're a woodworker, they might not have gone for the woodwork.
Sure.
So they, this is a lot of people who just have a friend who did it, or so it was a really good time to hang out late into the morning, and I think it was a little bit more of a intimate setting, we'll say.
I like this.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the IBA meetings.
Yeah.
That we first kind of started going to,
Sure.
and if you had a question about something, there were four people there that had different instructions.
Shouted out you.
Yeah, exactly. It was really good to get up there and spend time with Bob and Eric and Nico and the Michigan boys, but it was it was a lot of fun. But everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Sure.
So I broke Eric's garage door.
I think destroyed
Yeah.
might be an appropriate word.
I don't know. I still don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if the 2x4 didn't hold the garage door up high enough for me to get out, or if it fell while I was driving. But at some point I heard what I felt like sounded like a 2x4 falling, but I didn't. Followed by a crunch. And we got that figured out really quick. Eric was really, really good about that. I took Josh up there with me. I think that might have been Josh's first like legit hammer-in, because he worked last year, so he was just kind of on fire safety. Josh had a great time. I had a great time. So that one I think is more, like I said, set up for getting your hands into it and having one-on-one interaction. And he does it every year. This is the first year that we made it up there. Got to hang out with the Even Heat guy. I think it was just one of them up there, but yeah, it was good. More little guy or guys.
Guys.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying his name.
No. Little bit more laid back.
Yeah.
But we had a great time, and I think we'll do it again next year. And,
cool.
Keep trying to find those little shows, because that's what we have found has been not only beneficial to us, but beneficial to the community. And I really see the impact of going and forging with somebody for 45 minutes and making their first project, and the messages that we get on the Instagram, they'll find our emails. And those are the people that keep me inspired, because, I've been doing this for, I guess technically I've been doing this for a year, but I've been forging since I was 18 with you. And when you get into the frustrating parts and you're thinking about like, oh man, why do I do this? And you throw a hammer across the shop, and then a week later you meet somebody who has never done it before. It's really inspiring in the moment. So just like having, I think his name's Noah, the little guy that comes out to all the IBA meetings, and watching him give Millie instructions, like, it was just like, oh, that's super cool. Yeah. So I think we're going to keep trying to find those little shows that get people involved.
So if you guys know of some little shows around the area, we're in the Midwest, we're in Indiana, maybe a 5-hour, 6-hour radius from us, let us know, because we would love to come, bring some equipment, just hang out, forge with you guys. I think that'd be super fun. And those are definitely the ones, because, I've been doing this for a long enough time that I'm not necessarily there to learn. Like, I've been around the community. The part that I miss is I'll get just kind of burnt out on doing the same thing again and again and again. And so just being around the people that are energized and that are trying something new or whatever, that's so invigorating.
Right. And you get those, to me, it's the collaborative efforts.
Yeah,
right? And coming into a situation where I'm not just making a hammer or a punch or a chisel or a drift or all the stuff that we do, just, I don't want to say on a daily basis, but often those are,
times a month.
Yeah, a couple times a month, a couple times a week. Those are the things that, like, just making some tongs was exciting, because I hadn't made tongs since I was 18 or 19 years old, and those did not turn out well,
Yeah.
So just making some tongs with a couple guys was fun, and that was, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I still think about it.
Yeah.
So those little shows are so impactful on me, to the point where I've told you multiple times, like, not we're going to this show, but do you mind if I borrow a 12-ton so I can go to this show?
Sure.
So I really like the idea of going to local guys, but the problem is I can't go to Georgia for the weekend. I can't go to Colorado or Nebraska.
Over to California.
Yeah, and that's where we get a lot of requests, and it's not the size of your show that we're really worried about. It's like I leave Friday night or Saturday morning, and I have to be back Monday for work. So these shows that are in the Midwest that we can get to, we really, really, really want to be a part of.
Yep.
And not just Cole wants to be a part of it, but I want to go. I want to learn from different guys.
That just reminded me of something kind of unrelated, but we have the CBA show conference in April?
Yes.
So, and we're trying to get out with the Mare Braid boys. Might be a good way to be in California.
Make a really good transition, yeah.
Make a great transition. We've got some exciting stuff happening with the Mare Braid guys. So stay tuned for that. But
some things just clicked in my head.
Yep, that'd be great. So, I think Maker Camp this year, I had never been. This was my first Maker Camp. And the energy was super intense. We got absolutely monsoon rained out. Because of the way that we had set up our booth. We're definitely going to change that next year. The way we had set our things up, all the water running off the tent was just going into the electrical of our equipment. So that was kind of a problem. And at one point, I think it was Cliff Dufton looked at me and he was like, hey, so like when all the 220 cables laying in this pond we're all standing in hit, like because it hits all of us, it won't kill us, right? It's like, okay. So once the water got up to my ankles, we killed the power. I think that was on Saturday, and killed the power. Went, got some lunch, got dried off. Went back later that night after things had cooled off a little bit, and fired the forges back up. Had some really fun times. But yeah, it was a really intense show, and there was a lot more people. I thought it would be a lot more like the blacksmith gathering, maybe 200 people show up, something like that. But I think Austin's total count was like 800, and a lot of tents, really intense. He'd done a really nice job laying stuff out, a lot of stuff happening. And one of the things that we did with Austin was Avid CNC, right? Was cutting out tong blanks, sending them to us, sending them to Broadbeck. They deburr, clean them up on Broadbeck's grinder station, then walk over to us. And we were helping people forge. And we got there Friday? Was that Thursday?
We got out there Thursday.
Were we forging on Thursday?
No, we got out there late Thursday night.
Thursday, Friday. So we got, I don't remember. But anyway, we got out there Friday and immediately set up and started forging tongs with people. And it immediately became like we canceled our demos. We just were trying to get the line of people showing up to forge their tongs done. But every time I'd get 3 people done, we'd look up and there'd be 5, 6, 7, 8 more people had joined the line. And my wife, Malin, that was with us was like, hey guys, maybe cut it off so that we can go get dinner. Cause we had just stood there for 5 or 6 hours, just forging. And people were coming out like, hey, when are you going to do your hammer demo? I was like, tomorrow. We'll try that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so we had to cut that off. And then the second day when we came back and started doing tong demo, we had everybody sign up. So Evan would call them and let them know or text them and try to get them out. So we just started going down our list, and it was so insane. And so then we talked to Austin. We're like, hey, can we send some of these guys over to the forging stations next to us? Cause Northwest Blacksmithing Association, was that what it was?
I haven't got a clue.
Okay. The guy, they had set up a really nice hand forging station next to it, a bunch of coal forges and anvils and hammers and stuff. And so they took some of the people so we could do some of our other demos and work on some other projects and stuff. And super fun. I had a blast teaching people that had never forged before how to forge tongs. But yeah, it was super intense. And we were just doing a ton of stuff. So definitely going to revamp our setup for next year on how I think we're going to try to bring out a lot more smaller equipment, maybe inductions and 12 tons, so that a lot more people can come, maybe even remove the tables or open the tables or something. So we have a lot more inviting space so we can still control, the number of people working simultaneously, but kind of work with the guys around us to get more people in so they can get hands-on equipment and try stuff out. Power hammer went super well until the motor got bogged with water. And so we just nixed that for Saturday, got it back up and running, let it dry out, got all the water out of the motor. It was in the motor. And I opened the electrical box and all this water poured out. And I was like, so we got some great feedback on the hammer, some suggestions on things we could adjust, and people were forging on it all week long. So, but it was a really good time. I finally I think Sunday got a chance to go walk around, talk to some of the guys at the other stations, and got to talk to Mariko for like half a second. He was demonstrating at the Broadbeck tent. So I'd love to get him out here to do maybe a class in 24. it would be super wonderful. So tons of cool stuff. Only saw Jimmy. He had a huge group of people following around, got to wave at the back of his head as we were driving in. But other than that, man, it was super intense show. So really curious to see what that turns into for next year. I think
because it's only growing.
It's only growing. Well, you know, you have so many disciplines coming there.
Yeah.
I think it'd be super cool. Maybe if next year we could work with, I don't remember the name off the top of my head. There was a company there that was selling, like chainsaw mills, and they were teaching people how to break down, you know, full lumber or timber into lumber. And so if we could work with them, maybe do like some forged pieces that utilize that, I don't know, like table legs or something. Really, there's so many
like
disciplines
simple
there.
benches.
Yeah, simple bench, something quick and easy that we can forge. They bring it over, we put it together. Something like that would be really awesome because there's just so many things happening simultaneously. We went up to the Sencut Sen booth and did a powder coated Maker Camp logo for my daughter. She, you know,
sponsor us.
Yeah.
Sencut Sen sponsor
we
us.
buy so much stuff from Sencut Sen.
Even if the sponsorship is an extra piece of candy, we're here for it. Like,
and some extra stickers. Yeah,
Yeah,
man, no,
we're here for it.
They've been such a great partner for the company, and
Yeah.
and they don't even know it. I mean, I probably, you know, we're still a small vendor for purchaser from them, but just it was a really interesting time. So many people coming through, and so much happening. But I definitely think next year I want to try to get more hands on. Because I was, you know, because I hadn't been before, and it sounds like this year was even more intense than last year, according to Evan and Brett that came with us.
shout out Brett.
Yeah, shout out Brett. What's his @
Burning Sky Forge.
Burning Sky Forge on Instagram. I traded him a hammer for one of his giant meat cleavers, and this weekend we're going to be butchering our hogs. So that sucker's going to be splitting carcasses.
Or you're going to get us demonetized on YouTube.
Stop it. Yeah, Brett was just a lovely individual. He called me Saturday night, I think, and he's like, I broke it. I broke everything. I don't know what to do. I'm so sorry. And I was like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, just we'll shut it down. I'll get there first thing in the morning. We'll get it back up and running. And what had happened was they were forging on the hammer. The key had walked just a quarter of an inch on the top, on the ram. It walked out and jammed. And what's cool about our hammer is it just uses UMHW ram guide, so it doesn't hurt anything. It's all fabricated. It doesn't hurt anything. But it had stuck. And so I walked up and I was like, I don't know what this is. And I looked at it, and there's a big group of people, probably 20, 30 people standing there. It's like, oh, it's the ram key. So I just walked over and I tapped it, and it came down a little bit, and I just smacked the key with a big hammer. Started working again. Whole group of people started cheering. Went right back to work. It was super fun. So had some really fun stuff like that. And again, I'm just excited to get the hammer in front of people, get their hands on it, get feedback. Because again, we're trying to make this such an exceptional product for this community. And
yeah, I think taking the hammer to shows has been really cool because we're not high. It's not like we're like taking it to show and trying to get people to buy it. Yeah, we are, but also, we're taking it to the show to get feedback because we're at the point in the process where we're 90% there, 85% there, and we need to know what we're missing or what we have too much of, or because we want everybody to utilize this hammer in their shop the way that people have their presses. We have 8 years of feedback on the presses. Right.
Well, and so some of the feedback that we got is, you know, we wanted to make a hammer that had a 12-inch stroke, had a really generous daylight between the dies. So we you know, a sign of a quality hammer to us is that the ram goes up into the guide housing and that it just gives you tons of room. Well, I keep hearing the comment, and if you guys have any comments on this, comment on wherever you can. Can you comment on a Spotify?
You can leave a review with your comment inside the review
in Spotify.
Yeah,
do that. Shoot us a message on when we launch this on Wednesday. But let us know what your feedback is. So one of the comments I kept getting at the show was I'd prefer if it wouldn't go up into the ram guide, so that I can make an oversized die, or I can use an oversized die key, etc. So that's a curious one, because the way that we looked at it, it was so superior to get that additional height. But because we have so much height on a little hammer, even if we're able to get that ram up to 50 pounds, still really, not a huge hammer. And so that was one comment that we got. And
well, how big is the top tooling you're trying to use?
Well, it's more so if you're going to use it to upset stock, it just gives you more working area. And it also allows you to use taller top tools. It just provides more versatility, right? But because the hammer's so small, it's like you have to balance the versatility with the utility. Right. And so that's why when we got to sofa and it was taking too long for the ram to come down to the work, because we were trying to add additional control. One of the things we changed so that when we got it to Maker Camp, it drops right down to the work and starts hitting. So that kind of fine tuning stuff we can really detail right now while we're still iterating. And then the other one was at Sofa, everybody commented on how the large dies were wonderful because they had room for top tooling and swages and spring fullers. And then at Maker Camp, everyone was saying, oh, I wish the dies were a lot smaller because all I want to do is forge blades. And I want to be able to hit that corner and pull it down at the heel of the blade really, really sharply. And smaller, tighter dies would help me to do that.
Right.
Oh, like that's exactly the opposite. So if you guys have feedback on that while you're listening to this, let us know. Comment, message, review.
Even if you've never run our hammer, tell us what you expect out of a hammer.
Yeah, for sure. For a small self-contained hammer. Because I think that's just like we want to keep growing that feedback. But yeah, it was a super fun show. And we packed up, got out of there, had a great drive home. Malin and I, on our way home, stopped at Buckeye. Oh gosh, I'm not going to remember it. It's like Buckeye Copper Bucket Company. Bucyrus Kettle Company, which has been in like continuous operation for 150 years or something. They're in the original building. And so you like go downtown Bucyrus, Ohio, and there's this tiny little like shotgun house style workshop, and you walk in and everything's ancient, and it was incredible. They're running all original Pettingale style hammers that are run on line shaft, and because they're producing the original product that they started with, they're able to like get grandfathered in. So they're running all old school switches, exposed. What's it called when you have the wires exposed? Knob and tube wiring. So I asked the guy, I've got some videos we can post up. Can you like turn this on for me? And like, can you show me how this works? Cause it was so interesting. But yeah, they've got motors controlling the line shafts or driving the line shafts. And then all the equipment's line shaft driven. Is so flippin' awesome. But they were talking about some of the changes they've seen over the years and where, they are starting to see somewhat of a resurgence of interest in their kettles because, I mean, homesteading as an interest in that self-reliance realm has just like exploded. Yeah. And so people they're starting to buy kettles again. And so yeah, that was really, 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 really sweet. We got to do that on our way home. But yeah, no, it was an awesome show, super informative. I definitely see the path forward for next year being a lot more effective at getting equipment in the hands of people that are kind of like have never forged before or see forging as a supplemental discin to their main craft. Sure,
yeah, it's something that they can carry a little knowledge over.
Right.
Well, they can get into a new discipline. Yeah.
They can, forge components then that they'll use in their furniture making or in their carpentry and woodworking or their leather working, or they'll use the knowledge to forge custom chisels for their turning lathe, or they'll, it's just like there's so many multi-disciplines happening simultaneously at that show. It was really, really cool to see. I'm super glad I got some time. Melinda and I, we were able to walk around and just putz around and just kind of like see what was happening, get a much broader perspective of what opportunities are at that event. We can come and really be impactful. So super, super excited about that. And I think kind of reminiscent then of what we're trying to do with our Hammer-In. And we're growing it a little bit this year. Attendance is going to be a little bit higher than last year. And
we're allowed to use the whole building, right? We don't have to. It's not going to be throughout the building, but we don't have the guidelines of we can only let a certain amount of people in.
Yes, we can let additional people in. We got our fire permit raised.
Yes.
And so we'll be giving tours throughout the weekend. Probably you will be giving tours throughout the weekend. So come get a in-person tour with Francis. And but just being able to provide a place for people to come, try out equipment, try out processes, get experience, be around some of the heavy hitters in our industry and pick their brains on topics that you're struggling with. You know, you talked to Will about the feedback on getting feedback from quality makers and coming with a humble heart and saying, I need input on this. And then rather than getting defensive about your work, going into it with this open-handed mindset of, I want criticism because all it's going to do is make me better. Even if you disagree with them, take it and don't use it, right? Like that's free will, bud. But if you go into it with the heart and understanding of, I want to learn and I want to be respectful to this person, to giving their time. Yeah.
There's also there's no scenario I've ever been in where I've been given information that has been detrimental to, it's never ruined what I've tried to do.
I've had people tell me that you can't do it like that, for a myriad of ways, but again,
I've
it's
told
like,
you that.
Sure. It's like, hey, great. I've had a ton of people, with my hammers when I'm making them and I'm handling them and I'm using glue. I've had a ton of people say, oh, I hate that. I don't want to do that. It's like, well, just try it, man. Yeah. Like, here it is. The time it takes to put a hammer in their hand and let them taste test the difference. That's exactly why we want people to come to the hammer. And that's why we want people to taste test the difference.
Taste test the glue. We want
It'd be
people
a sniff test, bud.
To taste test the glue.
That's some sniffy glue.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I think I'm really excited to see, and if you guys have any feedback on what instructors you want to see for next year, I definitely want to grow the demonstration capabilities. Maybe we'll turn it into a 3-day, depending on what the attendance looks like this year.
Yeah,
and just continue to grow.
Well, the only reason that we're doing it Friday and Saturday is because the feedback we got was we went until 10, 11 o'clock at night on Sunday. And then they're like, well, I have to be to work on and they're coming from 5 hours away. So that is a direct result of people giving us feedback, and hopefully this is a better show.
Right. Just fits in the schedule better, gives people a chance to chill out on Sunday or drive back on Sunday or whatever.
We're going to the Warrior Way Hammer-In.
Yeah.
And the way theirs is set up.
What's the dates on that?
October.
Producer Evan.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
October?
October, Friday. It's next week. I don't.
It's November.
15th, 14th, and 16th, right?
15th.
15th.
Do they have a webpage? Could you throw that up on the on the schneuz?
Okay, so whatever day today is, the 11th. No, today is
the 6th.
like the 6th.
Yes.
Yeah. So today's the 6th. It's next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But anywho, they're doing so Friday at noon, Saturday at 10, and then Sunday at 5.
Yeah.
And I like that setup.
Sure.
That's like, I have time to get there in the morning on Friday.
Sure.
And then have fun. I have all day Saturday, and then Sunday I get to sleep in still.
Sure.
It's just the auction section, so I doubt they're going until midnight. That one's going to be a lot of fun. I am super stoked. I get to take Greg, who is a veteran who's done a couple tours.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I get to take him out there, get him to not just get into the metalworking community, but the veteran metalworking community. And I know he's talked to the guys at Warrior Way a couple times, so getting them face to face is going to be cool. But, even seeing hammer-ins like that after our lineup, it's like we have a lot of people that are coming out just Saturday because they have to work Friday or, whatever the case is. It's growing and evolving. I would love for someday this to be a shut it down. Let's do a week, that would be super cool. But if people don't want to do that, then
I think what you're trying to do, we wanted to do it in December, in remembrance of Andy, but you're also right between. There's not a lot of other big shows going on in this time of season, and so we wanted to have something that would offer to the community a chance to get together right before the end of the year, one big hurrah, and make it as educational and experiential as possible. So. If it grows to 3 days, if that turns out to be a better option, we'll make it 3 days.
Sure.
If it turns it to 7, that's a lot. That's so much.
That'd be super cool, though.
Like tents and.
That'd be really cool.
So, yeah. Anyway, what else do we have going on, producer Evan?
I did want to plug that Matt Stagmer took the induction forge from Maker Camp. This is slightly related to Maker Camp. and was able to do a forging demonstration in New York for, has he posted about it, Evan?
Yes.
Okay. So he did a forging demonstration in collaboration with Conor McGregor, which is maybe one of the coolest things that we've done recently, is be able to have a very small, very small part in that.
Sure.
You know, we've got, you know, David and Andy made swords for movies. David's got a lot of stuff that we got kind of behind the scenes on.
Right.
But as far as like Cole Ironworks go,
Neil's made some stuff on our presses.
Listen, I got a phone call on
Neil, that's RPM Neil.
Yes, RPM Neil.
Neil Kimimura.
I think it was Friday night.
Yeah.
And Neil let me know what he's been up to the past couple of weeks, because we had been going back and forth, and then he just never responded.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey man, listen, I'm going to let you know." And I was like, I don't know. I could probably say it. But that was also super cool. So I think the induction forge being used to announce Conor McGregor's, I think it was beer. I think his whiskey's already out. But
Okay. I haven't seen any of this. I'll have to check it out. Forged Stout.
Stout.
Cool.
Matt posted a picture, I believe, of him wearing Conor McGregor's belt, which was cool. And our induction forge was in the background. So
Sick.
that was just my only relation to Maker Camp, and I wanted to brag for a second about
Super cool.
Yeah,
the
you just
super cool stuff
plugged
that
so many people, so I'm going to play a little catch up. There's the Forged Irish Stout.
Yeah, they probably don't need our shout out.
No, they don't. RPM Neil, Mr. Neil Kimimura, and then Matt. I'm still looking for the post. I can't find it, but
Was it a story?
it might have been. That might be why I can't find it. I'll keep digging, and I'll throw it up if I find it.
Sick.
cool.
Sickness.
Yeah, so we've been able to do a lot of cool things, and that's also why we haven't had the ability lately to be we don't have the big names on the podcast that we had in the first season, and like there's a couple things that have not fell through the cracks, but just aren't the priority. So getting to share a lot of the stuff that we're working on, the H-frames, the power hammer.
Egregiously offended that I'm not a big name to you. I thought we were friends. At church yesterday, I said you were my best friend.
Yeah, and then he cut you off when you tried to continue. He let the other guy talk for like 3 or 4 minutes.
It's like, hey, why don't you introduce this guy? Not that long, though.
Yeah, he was just like, all right, good enough. Yeah.
So I think one of the things that we're really excited about coming into this new year is, we've got our full plethora. We've got the H-frames, the induction forge, the power hammer. We've got our new product line that's going to be coming out early in 2024 that we can't talk about yet, but you'll see it in photos and videos. And if you come to the Hammer-In, you'll get to try it out. It's been around for a really long time, and I'm super excited to tell the story because it's got some sentimental stuff for me growing up on iForged Iron and all that. So that's super cool. And I was hoping to just kind of round out our products and then just dig into how can we make these as efficiently and low cost as possible, because nothing's getting cheaper.
No.
So I was talking to somebody the other day about when we launched the very, 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 very first 16 ton, it was $3,000, or you could buy a 25 ton for $3,500.
Yeah.
I remember we sold one, we went back to buy more parts, and it cost us like $3,000 to buy the parts. And I was like, wait, how did we do this? Oh, right. We bought everything at the scrapyard. Right. So, there's just been this constant, like, we're trying to balance how do we make it better without making it so ridiculously expensive.
We did just launch H-frames. We can talk about H-frames.
Sure.
That's allowed now.
Okay.
Will got to kind of plug it a little bit when he was on the podcast. We were more talking about the power hammer, but he thought we were talking about the H-frames.
Well, he thought well, you thought he was talking about the power hammer. He was talking about the 120 ton.
Yeah.
Which he got up to 330 beats per minute.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
The H-frames launched, and we have had so many.
Well, not just the H-frames, because the way that we looked at this, it was like, okay, the product is cool. Really excited to get the product out there. How do we make it understandable to break the product up into components and make components available. So if you have a 12-ton and you want to upgrade the 12-ton, you can buy a 16-ton frame and swap it out. Or you can buy a 5-horsepower power pack and swap out the 2-horsepower power pack and make your 12-ton insanely fast. Or
Scary fast.
There's just a myriad of options where you can pick and choose the parts. So the press builder, the way I looked at it, we did what we call our press release. So before we do a new product, and we learned this year, and I love it. This was from a book. Oh shoot, what was the name of the book? I don't remember the name of the book, but it was the guy,
the Nest guy, right?
Yeah, the guy that invented the Nest thermostat and launched it. Super, super awesome book. If Evan can find it up, he'll throw it up there. Yep. Great book. Super, super, super suggest that book if you're into business.
My gas company tried to give me a Nest for free, and my landlord said absolutely not, and I don't understand why. So
okay, that's interesting. Well, anyway, so his comment was being a part of the iPod launch. And then the Nest and all that was to write a press release for what you want to design and then go design it based on your press release, right? So we as a team sat down, we have a weekly meeting or go over the next product launch. And we wrote out this press release for the H-frames, and they're versatile and modular. And we're looking at each other and I was like, okay, this is not enough. Because if we can't effortlessly communicate how all of these puzzle piece together, this is just going to be the most confusing thing we've ever done.
Right.
And,
Does that look great?
Build, yes, fantastic book. Build by Tony Fadell. Super, super great book. Highly suggest it. So, we were like, okay, so how do we do that? And then we worked, and Evan just freaking knocked it out of the park, because we're like, okay, maybe we need to hire somebody to write this as a custom website build. And they're like, yeah, no problem. Like $50,000.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't think I could do that. So, it was just whittling it down to the basic components. How do we make it so simple that you press a button, you see the product, and you're able to get all the specifications and stuff right in real time? So
Evan did this.
Evan built this. Evan did a fantastic job. And that's, what's your @ Evan?
I don't have one.
Wilhelm Forge.
No.
That's a...
What? Anyway.
Evan is Wilhelm Forge.
Anyway. Flippin' guy.
To get his personal, you'll have to meet him in person.
So, he has to show you a QR code tattoo on his underside of his arm. Mm-hmm. That's how you get access to his code. Anyway.
Bring a barcode reader.
So, so we simultaneously built out the H-frame, how we're going to produce H-frames, how we're going to make it economical, how we're going to make it rigid, etc. Simultaneously, Evan and I are working on the backside. I just shouted at him until he fixed things. And that relationship's working pretty well. Yeah. We're going to continue that for the next launch.
Not a fan.
And so, we have the press builder tool. You can go in, design exactly what you want. You can see the specs. You can see the pricing. You can get a real-time shipping quote. Bam, bam, bam. And I think Evan really knocked that out of the park. And then, of course, Logan was designing the H-frames. And so getting us up into how do we get to 60 tons? Those are rated for 120 tons. How do we pair these so you can get exactly what you're looking for? So I think the press builder tool was a real accomplishment, just as much as that H-frame press line has been.
I think it's even more of an accomplishment.
Sure.
Because simply for the fact that this is a building block and a foundation of how people will interact with our website moving forward.
Well, I think how people think about hydraulics.
Right.
I was reading in a forum the other day, guys were talking about building a press, and they're like, hey, have you used the press builder tool to set your specs? I was like, oh, so the guys that are going to just build them themselves can go and build out based on what we use.
Yeah.
And I'm not against that, right?
No.
I'm here today because we home built a press.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's just interesting to see once you get something into the market like that, a tool into the market, and then how people flip it on its head, turn it around, and use it for a completely different use. And I just think that's awesome. So, it's all gravy here. I'm really excited to see how all this transpires over the next couple months. It's been a tumultuous year for us, just kind of figuring out, we kind of slowed down this year, had a chance to reset, get our back end stuff fixed, get our systems in place and communication stuff for the shop and etc. Our inventory management system fixed. Shout out to
inventory
to
management
Chris.
created.
Yeah. So, all that stuff has been a huge move. And I think it's easy to miss it because we're so in it.
Yeah, this has been more than just a
transformative year, really.
We didn't just launch an H-frame. We took the H-frame and we essentially laid the foundation of the company back, and we said, this system needs to work for everything that we do.
From this point on.
Right. So even, we had the 16, the 16 plus, the 25. Well, now we have a 16 or a 16 with a 5 horsepower power pack. We've taken...
Or a 16 with a 10 horsepower power pack.
We've taken nomenclature away.
Right.
Because it doesn't fit in the system that works.
Even looking at it from the perspective of like, if somebody used to buy a 16 ton, they could add a foot pedal. But if they wanted to add a DPC, they had to not add the foot pedal, go over to another product page, add the DPC to their cart, purchase simultaneously. From the other side, we know, no problem. We'll grab a 16 ton frame, 5 horsepower power pack. We throw a DPC on it.
Well, the amount of people I had to refund who bought a foot pedal with their DPC.
Exactly.
It
tells us we're not doing our job. And that's where I think the press builder really, so I think for people that are building stuff, right? So e-commerce guys, small time business, people, I think realizing that the product alone is not the experience of the customer. The product is a component of the customer experience. And that customer only has maybe one experience with your company, right? So you got to think of, not only does the product need to serve the need, but the way that they access the information, the details, how they combine the products into the proper configuration that they need to solve their problem is just as much a product to the end user as the actual widget. Right. And so that was a realization I had this year.
It's also replacing your, I don't want to say it replaces your customer service, but it replaces sales representatives now. It used to be
friction. It removes friction.
Right.
They can get the answer they need without calling us, because only maybe a third of the people will actually pick up the phone. They'll just I don't want to go through this if I can't figure it out. I totally get that.
That's where I was getting at. Is it used? I want to go buy this press. I have to go to my local dealer, and I'm talking pre-internet, not last week.
Sure.
I have to go talk to a dealership,
distributor.
But you were one-on-one with a person,
right?
And that, whether you asked the question or not, that salesperson had the ability to give you information. Right. And that's something I didn't think about until we were in these meetings where it was like, how do we purvey this information? And my answer was always, well, I can just tell them, this is an internet customer. They're not calling me.
Right.
How do I get the, and then we actually took away a lot of information because it just got muddy and convoluted, which is very easy to share on a phone and talk people through. But on paper, it just doesn't translate.
No, what happens is the context gets lost and the information gets skewed by all the other information. And when they would call in and say, will this do this? And it's like, oh yeah, absolutely. That's the kind of stuff that we're building content, literally like filming this week, of showing, because it's just so easy for us to build a thing, make a video of it, put it up, and feel good that we communicated everything that needs to be shown. And it's like, no, not even close. And so that's going to be, I'm really excited to work with Evan on that over the next couple months of building out videos and content explaining and showing. And, because we can simplify the development side, the products are kind of in the life cycle. Logan's still fine tuning, production stuff, but it's like now Evan and I have a chance to take a step back and work on content generation. And I am so
now that you guys have free time, I'm the busy one.
You and Chris and Logan will remain, will remain busy. So, Evan is giving us instructions. Oh my gosh, we have so many classes scheduled for next year. We're fine tuning. So if you are an instructor that's scheduled for next year and you look at our class schedule and you see dates and you weren't sure about dates, don't worry. Reach out to me. We're fine-tuning dates, but we have a huge list of instructors and demonstrators for next year. And the other question that I have posted this week that I'd love people's feedback on, what half-day shorty classes would you guys like to see? Because those have been really popular. They fill up really fast. They're super fun. I'm able to get people in. We have coffee and donuts, get right into the work. And by lunchtime, we have a finished small project. We just did the hammer class.
The hammer class was
so fun.
And this is me speaking from an insider, was really good for us. But you walked away with as much as it would cost you to make 2 hammers, like you would have bought those hammers, and there's a little bit of a sentiment to it because you made it
for sure.
You know, so you can either buy 2 hammers or you can come here and make them, which I think is super. cool.
$200. That's cheap.
Yeah, that's 2 decent hammers.
No, that's 1 hammer.
Yeah, it's 1 good hammer.
You go to Royalty Forge,
really good hammer.
and get a really good hammer.
Yeah.
That 6-pounder he made for me is the first tool that everyone walking through the shop picks up. That thing is gorgeous.
I'll make you a hammer for $100.
Anyway, so next year we got a ton of demonstrations or a ton of classes scheduled, and we're trying to split it up so that we've got the IBA meetings for local people once a month at the last Saturday of the month. Then we've got a short class at the beginning of each month and a long class towards the middle or end of each month. And so just really trying to hammer on how can we get these, we have this beautiful facility stocked with tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars of equipment. It's like, how can we utilize this well so that the community can come and just revel in how awesome it is? And so
we also just got an entire shop of steel. So
yes, we are loaded to the gills. We are popping. So if you guys need some 1045, 4140 round, big sections.
1018.
Tons of 1018.
So much 1018.
Literally tons. So let us know if you're looking for some funky stocks, because I got some stuff. We can hook you up.
We've got plate. We've got round.
No
we've got
plate.
Square.
This is flat bar.
Oh, I guess that's fair.
And I want that.
Too bad. I'm selling it.
Okay. All right. What else, Evan? I didn't read your whole thing because you changed it.
Evan, you can just say things on the microphone.
He hates it. Possible visiting instructors. And we've got the online AXE class with Benton coming up.
Axe.
What's the date? What's the launch date for the AXE class?
Ooh, I don't have that yet.
So that's going to be the first online access class. First 2 that we've shot, we were learning. We were learning how. So third one is the charm.
It should be done by the end of this week.
Okay. So maybe by the end of the month?
Yeah.
Launch it at the Hammer-In, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Send people home with a fun class that they can watch at home.
That'd be fun, yeah.
So that's the happenings. That's all I got, guys. This was a really fun one. Well, I want to wrap it up and go to work. Can we do that? Are we good? Are we on our way out?
We're done.
Go back to work. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye. Are we going to get demonetized again because of the music?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are not using this music next year, right?
Right. We have to find a new intro outro track because they keep flagging us.
Yep.
And I keep using it.
We just need to record our own.
Yes.
We have so many musicians.
Yes, let's do that.
For sure. Well, let's do live. Let's get Nigel to bring his drum set in.
Yes.
We will do live Joe Hop, like actual instruments. I'll play the drums, Nigel will play the guitar or bass or something.